everything she wants, is everything she sees. This is Canadian MGTOW, having fun and not giving a shit. Welcome to Red Pill Stories. It's a difficult pill to swallow, understanding that everything you were taught, everything you were led to believe in, is just a lie. But once you learn it, internalize it, and start living your new life, it gets better. Learn from these stories. Before I start telling the story, I will recite the lyrics of a song from the late 80s which perfectly describes a coworker's life. Somebody told me, boy, everything she wants is everything she sees. I guess I must have loved you, 'cause I said you were the perfect girl for me, baby. But now we're 6 months older, and everything you want and everything you see, is out of reach. Not good enough. I don't know what the hell you want from me, but boy, somebody tell me. Won't you tell me, why I work so hard for you, give you money, all to give you money? Now on with the story. I work at a tech company that employs about 25 people. Everybody pretty much knows everybody. Some people are private, while others are an open book. Our software group is 5 people, and 3 of them are open books. They like to hang around each other's cubicles, talking loudly while others are trying to concentrate and work. The topic of conversation often involves their wives. So much so, that one guy, who is a bit of an introvert, said he knew the name of each guy's wife, their kids' names, and even what these guys fought about with their wives lately. Enter Chris, who I can only describe as a slacker. He's the most vocal in the group, and tends to share things people normally would not. A few years back the whole company was working on a project that was crucial for the company's very survival. Our manager at one of our town hall meetings, asked everyone to pitch in and to be prepared to work extra hours. The only person to pipe up was Chris. Playing the sympathy card, he said it would be difficult for him to work late since his wife, who gave birth over a year prior, was suffering from postpartum depression. When he's not slacking off at work, he's in late to work due to a morning karate class, but manages to leave at the same time the people that came earlier to work are leaving. Since we are salaried, most people take just half an hour for lunch. Chris on the other hand usually takes over an hour and is often found in the lunchroom playing board games with his fellow slackers and the university co-ops that he is supposedly overseeing. He has 3 monitors at his desk, but the third one is usually playing a video from YouTube. Regardless of managers he's had over the years, he must convey the software as being much more complex than it is, since he regularly underpromises and underdelivers. Somehow he manages to get vacations approved in the middle of major projects. It cannot be stated enough that he has it pretty good. For me to say that I arrive before Chris, and leave work after Chris about 80% of the time would not be an understatement. Like all companies, people leave for bigger and better things. This typically happens after a key project has been delivered, followed by silence and no real reward, whether it be bonuses, landing a big contract with a multinational company, or simply being bought out because our technology is so wonderful. Imagine my shock when I heard Chris was the next person leaving the company. I could never picture someone who has it so good wanting to leave the company on his own volition, let alone having the drive to find something new. He is also not the kind of guy who would leave the company when it's struggling, because after all, there is at least 7 years worth of severance pay to collect. Jack is the introvert in the software team that I mentioned earlier. He broke the news to me, and had that smile you recognize on people's faces when they learn someone they don't like is leaving the company. My first question was why? Jack filled me in, and what follows is what millions of blue pill manginas put up with in married life. While Chris' wife bemoaned that their detached house was too small for them and their one child, He told her that his pay would not cover a higher mortgage. Years back I myself recall a conversation I had with Chris regarding the share options we are entitled to buy at a penny each. He said his budget was so tight that he'd have to think long and hard to put down the $50 to buy his 5,000 options. The shares at the time were worth about 73 cents each. Despite the financial restraints, he still manages trips to Disneyland. Anyhow, back to Chris's wife. According to Jack, who has talked to her only at company Christmas parties, she is what he called a very high-maintenance woman. Not a pretty woman, but high maintenance nonetheless. I've never talked with her, but I do recall watching her while Chris bellowed at the table next to me. I will say he is always cheery and joking. Meanwhile I noticed his wife was very quiet. Not in a shy way, but almost like she was trying to not draw any attention that she was his wife, with a few disapproving eye rolls while Chris laughed heartily at his own jokes. Apparently this topic of a bigger house has come up again and again, so it is pretty safe to say that he's leaving for a higher paying job in order to get that bigger house, or as I call it, that bigger mortgage. I asked if Chris's wife worked, and after an eye roll that was worthy of an Oscar, Jack said, nope. She was supposed to go back to work after the child was born, but did not because, well, reasons. Several years after the child was born there were a few attempts at a job, but they never seemed to last more than a month, to which Jack suspects is due to her personality. What a shock both Chris and his wife will be in for. Although the tech company I work for is small, it is pretty much still a startup. Because it is a startup, it tends to pay more than the more established tech companies to attract talent, and to pay for the extra hours you will be expected to put in. When I joined, I had left a company I had worked at for 19 years. I thought I was paid well at my old company, but I did not refuse the job offer, which gave me a 20% raise. With that in mind, Chris will be making some pretty good money at his new job, but like most high-paying jobs in the tech field, they often have long hours and are very demanding. He will essentially be going from parking lot cruising speed to expressway passing lane speed. He's only in his early 30s and he already has symptoms of carpal tunnel and back issues from sitting in front of a monitor all day. If his health doesn't deteriorate on his new job, his relationship surely will. The few weeks each year he had to stay a few hours later due to a project deadline was often met with the software guys commiserating on how their wives were giving them a hard time for being at work all the time, and that there better damn well be a big cash bonus this time around. Something tells me the $100 gift cards, the new supply of options which could easily be worthless in 5 years, or the verbal thank you from the CEO at the Christmas party, did not placate the wives. Occasionally I would chime in, when Chris and the guys were having animated discussions around the coffee machine. I'd often walk away with the thought of, thank God I am not married. But not before stoking the fire with stories of my married days, and how it's a catch-22 with no solution. As I put it to them, you work hard and late to buy the things they demand, but at the same time they demand you be home for supper. And of course, the majority of these guys' wives are either stay-at-home mothers, or work at a job that practically is a low-stress job paying not much above minimum wage. I'll be able to view how things progress since Chris is one of the 100 acquaintances I have on Facebook, so I anticipate there will be a follow-up story involving health issues, a divorce, and the unfairness of it all. Perhaps I should anonymously send him a child support table to show how much more he will be obligated to pay with his higher paying job. Should things go south, there will be no coming back to his comfortable job, nor any job for that matter, which pays less than his new job. As my divorce lawyer explained to me, child support is not simply food and clothing for a child, but also the lifestyle they are accustomed to. The lawyer had no answer as to why my lifestyle had to go down from a living in a 2-story detached house to a rented bachelor pad. I'll end this story with my usual sign-off. Save yourself. Go MGTOW.